Hello and welcome again. The IB ESS exam for May 2023. It's happening on Friday the 5th of May and on Monday the 8th of May. On Friday the 5th, you'll be taking paper 1. Paper 1 is the case study. It's where you'll be given the resource booklet and you'll be given some short questions which add up to a total of 35 marks. And some of the answers could be extracted directly from the resource booklet, but several of the answers require you to apply your knowledge of environmental systems and societies and to make a connection between that knowledge and the information in the case study. That will be happening on Friday. Whether it happens in the morning or in the afternoon depends upon which of the 3 time zones you're in. I'm going to speak a little bit about that later on. And then, of course, on Monday, whether it's morning or afternoon, you'll be having the all-important paper 2. Paper 2 is made up of 2 components. Section A, which has some short questions on various topics like biodiversity, pollution management, natural resources, the soil. Those types of topics will come up with some diagrams and some charts, and that will account for 25 marks. You'll have to answer all of those questions in the small spaces provided on the exam booklet. And then comes the very important section B, which carries 40 marks. It's where you must do 2 questions out of a choice of 4. And each question is split up into 3 parts, A, B, and C. Part C carries 9 marks, and the way that you approach that part C, of course, requires you to do a mini essay. Details of that I have shared in my previous exam tips, and I'm going to be adding links to those below this video on YouTube, and I'm also going to be adding some cards for you to look at those tips for working on the 9-mark question. Of course, in all of my previous tips going back to 2015, you have playlists that I've provided for you. You have videos where I've explained about various systems diagrams. Of course, paper 1 carries 25% of the score, paper 2 50% of the score, and the IA the other 25% of the score. But as we go in and look at some specific tips for this year's examination, I want to also look at the 3 time zones and to let you know exactly when you will be having your exam depending upon what part of the world you're in. But this year I also want to focus on a new perspective, and that is how we can use ChatGPT along with the ESS guide as a study partner to go about preparing in the days leading up to the examination. So let's go in and take a closer look at each of the time zones. Time zone A, which includes India, China, Malaysia, Singapore, Japan, Korea, and Thailand. All people in time zone A, you'll be having paper 1 on Friday the 5th in the morning. As I said, paper 1 is 1 hour long. Then you'll have the weekend, of course. If you have math on Monday afternoon, you'll have to be doing some math. Hopefully, there won't be too many people taking computer science and ESS. But if you do, there will be a conflict or a clash, and your IB coordinator will have to help you in sorting that out. But on Monday the 8th, you will be having paper 2 in the morning, paper 2, 2 hours long. That, of course, is just for time zone A. If you're in time zone B, which includes places like Europe, UAE, Qatar, Nigeria, and South Africa, then you will be having your paper 1 on Friday afternoon and your paper 2 on Monday afternoon. And if you are in the Americas, in time zone C, in Canada, the US, Mexico, Costa Rica, Jamaica, or the Bahamas, of course South America as well, but many South American students would be taking the exam in November. If you are taking the May exam, you too would be in zone C. And for zone C, paper 1 is on Friday afternoon for you, and also on Monday morning you'll be having paper 2. Of course, the big tip for this year is how you can use ChatGPT, which was not available last year, along with your ESS guide as a very useful study partner. Take, for example, this section here of the ESS guide, which deals with sustainability, sustainable development, natural capital, and natural income. I asked ChatGPT, what is sustainable yield? And I got a very good answer, as you can see here. Then I went on to ask ChatGPT, how is natural income different from natural capital? And I got all of this with some very good examples. Next, I asked ChatGPT, what are some examples of mitigation and adaptation measures to combat climate change? And I got these very good 5 mitigation measures: carbon capture and storage, reducing greenhouse emissions, afforestation and reforestation, improving agricultural practices, and promoting sustainable transportation. All of those mitigation, absolutely correct. And then adaptation, which means kind of adjusting to what happens, and of course building seawalls, improving water management, enhancing early warning systems, drought-resistant crops, all of these, including things like vaccination, not mentioned here. But when you feel that ChatGPT has missed something, it's totally fine for you to say, what about vaccination? Do you think that is going to be an adaptation measure? And then you'll see what ChatGPT has to say about it. That was very evident when I asked ChatGPT about this question. What is meant by the dynamic nature of a natural resource? And I got a very good answer, yes, but I felt it did not go into some specific examples. So I put it to ChatGPT, what about lithium and uranium that suddenly became useful, and another resource like cork that dropped in demand? And ChatGPT then went on to engage in a very useful discussion about this. So with some knowledge of your ESS guide and some knowledge of the subject, you could find that ChatGPT is a very useful study partner for you in the days leading up to the examinations. Of course, please use all of the links and the tips to my other playlists to prepare for the exam. Good luck to everyone in this year's ESS examinations.